I was born in St. Louis, Missouri on September the 12th, 1927. And my folks moved here when I was 6, either 6 or 7, I don't remember. And we lived here ever since. But I remember I started at Cresswell, either in the 1st or 2nd grade, and went to Cresswell and to Byrd, graduated from Byrd High School when I was 15, and started to seminary.
His parents and my parents were friends, and my parents asked would he care to babysit. And so he was in college and I was in grammar school.
Her parents paid me $1/4 an hour to babysit with her when they would go out and play cards.
He dated my sister's son, and he would always say, let's bring the brat.
When I was in law school, Francis was at Newcomb, and so I would go down and visit.
It was time for me to learn to drive a car. He taught me to drive, and he took me out to play, really to carry his clubs while he was playing golf. And he was just always there, and just always sort of my buddy. I came home one summer, and he asked me to go out, and then I knew that that was going to be the man in my life.
I mean, this is a true childhood sweetheart, isn't it? Okay. I graduated from law school. One of my best friends in law school was Gorman Taylor. So we get out of law school and we decide we will set up a law firm, Taylor and Zadeck. I sat there for 1 year. No one ever came in. I didn't even file income. I didn't make $600 adjusted gross. No, not one single person came in. So at the end of a year, I said, Gorman, I want to get married, and I'm going to go to work for my father-in-law.
I've known a lot of people in the oil and gas business, but few people have the integrity and the high business acumen that he does.
I think Donald is successful primarily because he surrounds himself with good people, number one. And number two, Donald is not trying to squeeze the last nickel out of anything.
He's been called by Ed Steimel the most powerful man in Louisiana. Anytime he wanted something done, it got done. Of course, he maintained his friendship with the governor. All the governors he's friends with, you know.
David Treen used to stay with us when he'd come to Shreveport. Edwards didn't even know his name. Thank God.
That's a good thing.
Donald is a person that people are attracted to in business. Therefore, he sees some very interesting ideas because he's fair.
He's the kind of person that when he says he's going to do something, he does it. I think he's absolutely honest, he's trustful, he's trustworthy. He's a very good salesman, but he puts his money in his mouth behind whatever he's selling, whether it's a charitable deal or an oil deal or whatever it might be. He can truly reach out and touch people. He is extremely well thought of. No one, to my knowledge, ever questions him. He was president of the Shreveport Chamber when General Motors was landed here in Shreveport. And he probably, as much as any one individual, had as much to do with that accomplishment as anybody.
We had been working on the General Motors plant. Everybody told me, you are wasting your time. I had my own business, so I could waste as much time as I wanted to. They said there has never been a plant in a city the size of Shreveport any place in the world. No place, no company is going to put an assembly plant in less than 500,000 people. And I didn't get the message. The General Motors representatives came to Shreveport and they said, let me tell you what our requirements are. We have to have a minimum of 5 million gallons of water a day. They never used it, but that was one of their requirements. And I can't remember whether they said we have to have 5 or 10 million cubic feet of gas a day. Now, gas was very tight then. It was, and I said, that shouldn't be a problem. It's a terrible problem, but I said it shouldn't be a problem. Bunker Hunt was a good friend of my brother John and a good friend of my father. Let me talk to him. Bill Atkins talked to the Hunts, and the Hunts agreed to furnish General Motors as much gas as they needed for a 10-year period, and they wrote us a letter. And we gave that letter to General Motors, and we got the plan.
He doesn't have a diplomatic bone in his body either. I mean, he says exactly what he thinks, and sometimes that's been kind of tough, kind of hard. When he was president of the chamber, it was the only time they took out insurance for slander, because if somebody was doing something, he never held back anything he thought or anything he felt. He didn't care there was just nothing that he wouldn't say if he thought he was right.
But what I like is his forthrightness, for example, and his frankness. For example, in a campaign, my opponent ran a nasty ad about me and called me and compared me to the Incredible Hulk. And that got Donald upset, and so he hired space in the Shreveport Times and said, "Shame on you for calling my favorite senator the Incredible Hulk. She may be middle-aged and slightly plump, but she's no Hulk. So how can you beat a friend like that? You know, that's wonderful."
Donald used to be a big dog man. He'd always have retrievers, but he probably had the worst bunch of retrievers of anybody I've ever known. And generally speaking, he would have to get out of the blind, go get the duck, and put it in the dog's mouth to get him to.
He would go out there with her. He'd swim out there with her to pick up a duck and swim back, carry her on his back and stuff. But, you know, he was bound and determined that she was going to have the total hunting experience.
How about the time that he flooded 2 hotel rooms in London?
And on one trip.
Taking a bath.
Falling asleep.
In the bathtub, and flooded our room and flooded the people below us. In fact, it was 1 or 2 in the morning, and the ceiling fell in on the couple downstairs. He was sound asleep.
She didn't know how to hunt. She didn't have, so when we had a duck hunting camp with the Hayneses and Bill Atkins and the Beards, and I would take Truffles with me. I had a good hunting dog, and when we would shoot ducks, my good hunting dog would go out and get them, and while my good hunting dog was getting it, whatever duck I had there, I'd throw in the decoys, and Truffles would jump out, bring it back. I buried her in in the yard of our home on 4732 Richmond, which is just 2 or 3 blocks from here. I buried Truffle Zadeck in the front yard in the azalea bushes, and that's where she is now. And that was 35, 40 years ago.
Just an outstanding individual, he really is. I just can't say enough about him. To really know him is to truly appreciate him as an individual.
He has great empathy for people and continues to give both of his time and money, and he enjoys it. He doesn't give because he's trying to do something that would achieve something for him. He actually really enjoys doing it and feels that he's very fortunate to be able to.
He's a great person to have a drink with and laugh with. He's a great person to offer you a shoulder to cry on. He's a great guy.
He's got all the qualities that make a good friend. You know, he's thoughtful. He does so much more for his friends than probably his friends do for him. But and he doesn't work on it. It just comes natural to him.
he loves his family, he loves his children, and he comes home at night.
Very happy. There were some very sad times. But by and large, I wouldn't take anything for him. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
She may be the loveliest person you ever met. And she has kept me going, really. I mean, everyone should be as blessed. True. I have had a good life, and I have good memories, and everyone should have that good life.